checking in the early morning, very cold morning actually, of October 18th, 2008 from Detroit, Michigan, with my local expert Bob Goldsmith from Detroit Tour Connections, who's taking me around on an architectural tour of Detroit, and there's so much wonderful stuff to see here. We are here at the corner of Fort and Washington Boulevard, and we're looking at some stunning architecture right here in Detroit. What's the tallest building right here, the step-back skyscraper?
That's the Penobscot Building, which is from 1928, and it was Detroit's tallest building until the 1970s, and a big landmark building because it was so much taller than any other buildings that we had.
Now, to the right of it, we have sort of these square or rectangular towers. Which ones are those?
Well, the one with the flag on it, that is actually the second of 3 Penobscot buildings. And then fronting on Fort Street with the red brick central floors, that would be the first Penobscot building. So we had one of them in 1904, which is about 12 stories, one of them 1916, which is about 22 or 23 stories, and then the next one 12 years after that in 1928, which again doubled in height. So as Detroit's population was growing, our buildings were getting taller and taller too. And we have 2 bank buildings in the front as well, right? A lower one right here, sort of in the lighter color. Right, the one that's on the far corner of Shelby and Fort Street, that one's from 1901, and it's actually by Stanford White of New York's McKim, Mead & White, and it's a beautiful building. And then the one on the corner closer to us, that's by Albert Kahn again, who's our main architect, with all the Corinthian columns, and that's another beautiful bank building. So this is called the Financial District, both because of the shorter bank buildings that we see, and then some of the skyscrapers also had banks in the lobby and carried the name of that bank as the name of the building. Right.
Now let me just do a whole pan of this area. This is obviously a much more modern building. What is it, the 60s? Something like that?
It is the 1960s, modern architecture. It's an office building. In fact, our Convention and Visitors Bureau is located in there.
That's what that is. Here, another example of modern architecture. And then on this side, we have a Victorian building, Victorian era.
Right. That is 1891, and that's called the Detroit Club. Sort of a ritzy, old-time club that's been around for almost 120 years.
And here is the backside of the Free Press building, is that correct?
Right, and you know, the backside, a lot of its brick is not as picturesque as the front, although up on top of that central tower, you can see some of the sculptural details, and that part is in limestone as opposed to brick up there.
Beautiful. And this, of course, on this side here, is the Federal Court building, right?
Exactly, from the 1930s.
From the 1930s, with all sorts of wonderful detail, friezes in the wall, different types of ornamental details and so forth. So we'll be heading off in which direction now?
I think we'll go toward the center of downtown, a little bit closer to Woodward Avenue.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Okay.